Google will let users remove visible watermarks, and brands need content that can still be identified without a stamp. Google's watermark change leaves brands with a bigger proof problem. A visible watermark can vanish in seconds. Google's reported change will let users remove visible watermarks from AI-generated content, and that shifts the burden. Brands now have a more serious job, proving who made a piece of content, and why anyone should trust it after the surface mark is gone. Trust survives through evidence that readers and machines can verify. A logo signals origin at a glance. Useful evidence keeps working when an image is cropped, a paragraph is copied, or a shopping page is summarized somewhere else. It still holds up. That evidence needs a system behind it. Content provenance connects named sources and checkable claims. So, a page doesn't have to rely on brand reputation alone. AI-assisted content works for e-commerce when it reflects real product knowledge, and it leaves a traceable record. Generic AI copy earns weak trust. It gives shoppers little to confirm, especially when the wording could describe nearly any item in the category. Consider a 32-ounce insulated stainless steel bottle listing that claims to keep drinks cold for 24 hours. A credible version identifies the tested configuration, states whether the result applies to ice or chilled water, and points to the internal test record or manufacturer document behind the promise. A generic version says the bottle keeps beverages cold all day, then surrounds that claim with polished lifestyle language. But a shopper comparing bottles still has no way to judge the test conditions or confirm which lid and finish were used. Unsupported claims often start in templates written once and reused across variants. One broad sentence spreads through a collection. Even when a larger size has a different insulation profile or a replacement lid uses another material. Accuracy starts in the brief before anyone asks an AI system to draft. Add these fields to every assignment. Byline, Maya Patel. E-commerce content lead, published timestamp. A real person owns the editorial decision. The timestamps show when the information entered circulation and when someone last checked it. That record gives an AI-assisted article a durable identity after the visible mark disappears. The brand stays recognizable through accurate claims and supporting evidence. What a buyer can still identify after the visible mark disappears. Visual attribution and evidentiary attribution do different jobs. A logo identifies a publisher at a glance, while a source note shows where an important claim came from and when someone checked it. A page earns recognition from the facts attached to its claims. That recognition can carry through copied text and AI summaries because the useful information stays attached to the statement. Take a merino wool sweater page. It names the fiber standard. It identifies the manufacturing region. It links to the supplier document used for the claim. A shopper can assess the material with fewer assumptions. An editor can verify the wording before featuring the sweater in a buying guide. The evidence trail should answer 4 practical questions for every sentence that affects a purchase. What is being claimed? Where did it come from? When was it checked? And can someone verify it without asking the brand? Evidence field. What it records? Source. The document. Test. Or public record. Behind the statement. Checked date. When the source and wording were last reviewed. Scope. The product. Variant. Material. Or generation covered by the fact. Owner. The person responsible for approving the published claim. Test for every statement tied to a buying decision. Could someone trace it to a public source without contacting the brand? If not, add a source or remove the claim. The C2PA technical specification describes signed provenance assertions. They can record an asset's origin and later actions. Machine-readable records can support identity when an image or document moves between systems. Visible page evidence still does the research work for shoppers. A signed record attached to a product photo can't explain whether a sweater's fiber content applies to every color. The product detail needs to state that scope, link to the relevant supplier document, and show when the material information was reviewed. 4 verifiable details create more confidence than a polished page filled with broad claims and no source trail. A name standard and a linked document give a buyer something concrete to inspect, along with a manufacturing region and a check date. That distinction is what brands need after a visible mark disappears. Recognition comes from connected evidence. It lasts beyond the format itself. Use the evidence chain to make brand identity portable. The evidence chain is practical. It keeps product claims tied to proof. 4 connected fields do the work. Claim, source, date, plus scope. Every important claim needs a source and a defined scope. Assign those fields before copy reaches a template. Then editors get a clear boundary. They know exactly what the sentence can promise. The claim records the exact promise. For a rain jacket, that might be a waterproof rating measured under a named test method. The source identifies the manufacturer document or testing record that supports the rating. The date tells an editor when the information was checked. Scope prevents accidental overreach. It states whether the fact applies to one color, one size range, the full catalog item, or a specific generation. Field hiking boot example. Editorial decision claim. The waterproof membrane keeps water out under the stated test conditions. Use the tested membrane language, source manufacturer membrane specification link, or store the document with the SKU record. Date, the specification was checked. Set the next review from the document status. Scope applies to current boot version and listed size range. Keep older versions and other footwear outside the sentence. A waterproof hiking boot shows why separate claims need separate sources. The membrane claim should point to its own source. The outsole grip claim should point to a test or manufacturer record covering traction on the named surface. That structure changes the wording. Replace built for extreme weather with a sentence tied to the jacket version and its named waterproof test. Result. Then give the reviewer a record they can open. The same rule applies to the boot's outsole. A statement about grip on wet rock belongs beside evidence for that performance. Scope separates the rubber compound from the waterproof membrane. Vague positioning usually enters through an unowned sentence. Give each high-value claim an owner and a review interval before it reaches a template. Then, the merchandising team knows who can approve a change and when the source needs another look. Most stores have a strong content plan and limited production capacity. Assigning evidence fields during product setup reduces the cleanup that falls on one editor on a seasonal collection. Changes. The evidence chain also makes content portable. A buying guide can reuse the boot's verified waterproof statement. A comparison module can show the same rating. And a search summary can keep the claim with enough context to identify the correct version. A watermark marks the surface. The chain travels with the fact. Build SKU-level evidence into product pages. Product evidence belongs beside the claim it supports. Put the strongest proof near the statement a shopper is evaluating. Then place fuller technical detail in a clearly labeled specifications or materials area. A cooling claim belongs near the material and test result behind it. Warranty language belongs near the warranty terms. Vague product copy often appears when one paragraph is forced to cover an entire family of variations. One paragraph covers too much ground. A queen-size memory foam mattress can use a thicker comfort layer than its twin version. That change affects the feel and height. A general materials paragraph creates false certainty when the shopper is viewing one specific size. Build each listing around the exact stock keeping unit, or SKU, for a queen-size Cloudline memory foam mattress. The materials block could state that the comfort layer is 3 inches of 4-pound memory foam over a 7-inch support core. The twin version might use a 2-inch comfort layer. So its copy needs its own measurements and an approved description. Give every writer a repeatable brief before drafting begins. Include the product name, selected variant, approved claims. Source links, plus the date each fact was last checked. Add a review field for phrases that need legal or technical approval, such as hypoallergenic, clinically tested, or made without harmful chemicals. The brief also gives visual evidence a job. Original photos can show seam placement and layer construction. Measured dimensions help shoppers compare the item with something they already own. Care instructions answer practical objections. And a comparison note can explain why the queen mattress feels different from the twin model. Use precise language in the visible copy. Replace premium construction for better sleep with. The Cloudline Queen Memory Foam Mattress uses a 3-inch layer of 4-pound memory foam over a 7-inch support. Core. The manufacturer's pressure distribution test identifies this model and configuration. This gives shoppers concrete details to assess and gives future systems enough detail to identify the source. A final SKU review before publishing is worth the small handoff. The product owner checks whether the facts match the selected variant, while an editor checks whether the proof sits close enough to the promise. That keeps a shared catalog paragraph from becoming a catalog-wide liability. Make AI-assisted writing sound like one accountable brand. AI writing improves when the input includes product truth and brand decisions. New contributors and AI systems often interpret the brand differently, very differently sometimes. Source material usually contains category language, but not enough product detail. An approved fact layer gives both a reliable starting point. Build that layer from real catalog records and approved copy. Include a claims glossary, common customer objections, examples tied to specific products, and language the brand has chosen to avoid. A reusable water bottle brand might approve leak-proof when the locking lid is fully closed, while rejecting the shorter claim leak-proof because the condition disappears. That distinction matters at checkout. A shopper may toss the bottle into a work bag before checking whether the lid has locked. So the qualification belongs in the main description and any comparison table that uses the claim. Generic prompts produce generic certainty because they omit the operating condition, separate drafting from approval. AI can turn approved facts into a first draft. Then the product owner checks technical accuracy, while an editor checks tone and search intent along with unsupported certainty. The SKU owner should have the final say when a sentence changes how the item can be used. The strongest prompts are built from listing evidence. They name the exact product variant, describe the buyer's likely concern, and attach a source to each major promise. A prompt for the bottle could reference the 24-ounce size, the locking lid instruction, plus the care page that defines hand washing limits. AI-assisted copy sounds generic when the prompt contains only category terms such as durable or premium. Gain meaning when the brief adds customer situation. A measurable constraint plus proof the brand has approved. Use a short calibration exercise for every new contributor. Ask them to rewrite one existing product section, explain each factual change, and compare the result with the approved claims record. The explanation reveals gaps faster than a polished paragraph, especially when a writer turns a conditional claim into an absolute one. Accountability should stay visible. Keep approved facts attached to the assignment, record who reviewed the final wording, and send updated specifications through the same process so the next writer inherits the brand's decisions instead of having to guess at them. For teams publishing at scale, Sprite analyzes your existing content before generating anything. Its voice modeling learns your actual vocabulary and sentence patterns from published work, while brand reflection checks each draft against those patterns before publication. To learn more, visit heysprite.com today.